Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Crit Hit Reviews, with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about the review copy I received of Grundislav Games' detective-flavored point-and-click, Lamplight City. But, did it provide a set of satisfying conundrums to crack, or were the mysteries it provided elementary at best? Meet Miles Fordham, a down-on-his-luck detective who was once a police officer until a tragic case killed his colleague and his career. Ever since, he's been plagued by the voice of his partner, relentlessly needling at him to solve the case, even as Miles' marriage and sanity erodes away. What's more, the city itself is restless, as a spate of troubling crimes begins to emerge. Will Miles be able to find a way to reclaim his life and avenge his partner, or will he collapse beneath the exhausting weight of his guilt? Well, what I found rather notable was the fact that this particular decision rests wholly on the player, since each of Lamplight City's cases have multiple outcomes. Considering that it's possible for a player to fail to reach the correct outcome for a case, either due to giving up or accusing the wrong person, and those decisions in turn have ramifications leading on to future cases, it presents a genuinely organic feeling narrative. And honestly, the dialogue at large in the game is pretty great. I very much dug a lot of the conversations, and there's some fun opportunities you're presented with to be clever, or a dick, and these decisions ended up feeling meaningful because of the impact they carried. Like, petulantly showing the ashes of someone deceased to a clerk who wanted proof that they were deceased. It's a fast track to a bad ending, but it's pretty hilarious. Overall, I'd say that Lamplight City definitely benefits from an entertaining narrative, and I found it pretty rewarding that even when I didn't make the correct decision, the game still acknowledged my actions and they were incorporated in the narrative as a whole. Honestly, reading the newspaper to see the outcome of the cases was a treat. I also remained incredibly fond of the sheer amount of foreshadowing that's scattered across the game, as it allowed me to come to those aha moments at the same time as the character, or to click together some fairly accurate thoughts on who was responsible for something or what was going on at any given point. There was also a few moments of more literary bits of foreshadowing to set up and lay the foundation for the issues you encounter in future cases, which I also appreciated. And lastly, I admit that I was just fond of the quality of writing, since watching and being a part of Miles' character development just felt really satisfying. My fondness for Lamplight also encompasses the way it plays as well. Part of that is due to the reasons I mentioned in the story segment, such as how you can resolve the cases you encounter in a variety of ways, and that there's even the capacity to forcibly progress the story along in case you hit a narrative or investigative dead end due to your choices, or just because you can't figure things out. But a good portion also belongs to how it chooses to tackle the point-and-click genre. See, whilst you do interact with items by clicking on them, it avoids you needing to obsessively try to combine or use your items with everything in creation. Instead, when you click on something you can pick up, you simply have it. And if you click on something or someone that it should be usable with, you're given the option to take the appropriate action, making for more streamlined gameplay and allowing you to focus more heavily on the narrative and deductive side of things. It's a different take on puzzle solving, and one I didn't mind, especially since it left room instead for the pursuit of finding the clues themselves, the occasional logic puzzle or riddle, as well as exploring the various dialogue branches with the characters. The latter, of course, being why I was very grateful you can save at any point, since you get a few opportunities to be rude or snarky, and generally convince people that it'd be in their best interest to forcibly eject you from their vicinity. Whilst the well-deserved reprisals you end up having aimed at you can be fairly entertaining, the better endings in the game do hinge on you having successfully completed the cases. Ideally by putting the actual perpetrator behind bars. So, the save feature saw a lot of use over the course of my, misadventures. Still, I'd say that overall, Lamplight City is a fairly forgiving experience as a whole. Whilst I certainly did find myself stuck with no recourse but to roam the map in search of some detail I'd overlooked or an NPC to bounce an idea off of, when I did eventually figure out what I was missing, it always felt like a logical extension of what I'd been doing. Overall, the difficulty of the game's puzzles felt both well-balanced and engaging. Also, being able to essentially fast travel between the game's various locations was really convenient given the vast array of locales I'd be juggling at times. Also, as it stands, I only have praise for Lamplight when it comes to the visuals. The design of the world is altogether pleasant to behold, and the characters within it are lovingly animated. Whether it's character portraits during dialogues to the minutiae of the idle animations, it's a lovely display of pixel art, and its overall presentation is only further complemented by the soundtrack, which does a great job of setting up an altogether pleasant and enjoyable ambience for the adventure. Plus, it has some absolutely stellar voice acting throughout the game. Sure, it's a little uncanny that one of the characters sounded like the walking virus, but it's altogether a quality experience on this front. Also, the outro theme is mildly hilarious to me, but that might be because I'm a bad person. Any which way, with that said, we've reached the conclusion, and well, I really dig Lamplight City. It provided a thoroughly entertaining story to navigate and unearth, and a generally enjoyable array of characters to encounter. Like, I actually found myself enthusiastically theory crafting and trying to guess what was coming next as I was playing. Possibly because the gameplay was so focused, I genuinely enjoyed its take on the point-and-click genre and the way it bypassed the need to haphazardly click on anything and everything. And everything on an aesthetic level was just stellar. Like, it's chock full of great visuals, some lovely tunes to listen to, and I can't count the number of times that I found myself grinning at the delivery of some of the voice lines when a particular bit of banter or dialogue happened. Overall, I'd say that Lamplight City makes a very strong case for being a crit hit, and I personally would recommend that people dive into it. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. And for those interested in more indie reviews, developer interviews, or our Monday TTRPG content when it starts up again, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner or the description to become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running now to help supplement funds for our lovely editor and to make sure we can continue to provide quality content. Again, check the description and the banner for demo links. That said, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.